Oh, hello! As anyone who watches the car market knows, many exotic cars from the 90s and earlier are finally getting the attention that they deserve. And that is terrible. While it's great to see the cars that I love getting very expensive, high-quality restorations, and the fact that they're finally being taken care of by their owners, a car that you could one day save up your money for and hopefully buy has now become the price of a house. I've lost all imagination because I can't even afford to dream anymore. Remember the McLaren F1? I can't, because if I do, I'll start sobbing uncontrollably in the office building.
This is most apparent when you look through the classifieds of the early 2000s. My dad used to buy me the DuPont Registry magazine as a kid, and looking back at them as an adult, all I can do is self-loathe and kick myself for not buying a Mura when I was 3.
What an idiot I was! With cars like the Ferrari F40, Lamborghini Countach, and pre-merger AMG Mercedes, these unfortunately have already left the stratosphere of attainability. I will always hold out hope, but with the way things are going, I'm probably gonna have to save up $1 million just to send my future kids to college debt-free. But don't lose all your dreams of 80s exotics, because there are a few shining beacons of hope we still have left. Behind me is one of the biggest icons of the 1980s, the Ferrari 308. The Ferrari 308 was produced from 1975 until 1985, and over this decade-long production run, it evolved. Due to technology advances and emissions restrictions forcing manufacturers to find creative ways to keep their models alive, the 308 saw 3 different iterations. Upon its launch in 1975, the Ferrari 308 was its most raw, with a lightweight fiberglass body and a 2.9-liter carbureted V8 making 252 horsepower. This very early 308 has become the most desirable in modern times.
The second version of the 308 introduced a revised engine that featured fuel injection. The horsepower actually dropped by 41 down to only 211, and they made a few other tweaks throughout the rest of the car.
The third version is what we see behind us, the Quattro Valvoli, or QV. In my opinion, this is the most iconic 308 out of the entire model run. It benefited from some styling tweaks, but also a revised 2.9-liter V8 that contained 4 valves per cylinder. And this brought the horsepower figure back up to 240 horsepower. And I know what you're thinking. That's not a lot of power. But let me remind you that the 308 only weighs 3,200 pounds, or the equivalent of only 3 horses. So the power of 240 horses with only the weight of 3 horses. Think about that. When it comes to 80s exotics, the 308 is up there with the Countach and the Testarossa on the Mount Rushmore of iconic designs. I've always loved how the 308 is simultaneously boxy yet curvy, with an angled chin spoiler, flowing body lines, and unique air intakes.
The fixed roof version of the 308 is called the GTB, and I think this has the cleanest look from the exterior, with a similar blend of sportiness and elegance that you'd get in a 288 GTO. But with the GTS, you get a removable targa panel, which not only adds to the fun driving experience, but also adds to the overall exotic look.
Let me preface this with how much I love America. But some of the biggest letdowns in my life have been the differences between US spec cars and European cars. In the 308's instance, the European model has sleek bumpers at the front and the rear, and an unburdened V8 putting out peak horsepower, whilst the US version had big, bulky bumpers sticking off either end and catalytic converters that not only hurt the performance, but also the longevity of the engine. At least the US version gets extra strengthening in the doors in order to help you in the event of a crash. But I have a suspicion that this would still fold over me like a piece of origami if I got hit by a Silverado.
When you enter the 308, you're greeted by an interior which matches the exterior in terms of exoticness. You have a Momo steering wheel with no airbag, leather, metal, or carpet covering every surface, and a surprising amount of knee room.
Many exotic cars seem pretty daunting to own, but that is actually where the 308 shines. Mechanically, everything's pretty simple in this car, and with the fuel injection, there isn't that much to tune.
Later Ferrari V8s require that you pull the engine when you need to do a big service like the timing belts. But with the 308, the engine is transverse mounted, so you can actually remove the suspension and wheel lining to access the timing belt, all without removing the engine from the car. Because of this, the 308 has one of the lowest ownership costs for any Ferrari.
As with every Ferrari, driving is where this car really shines. Everything is catered towards driver engagement, from the manual steering to the 5-speed gated manual transmission. The high revving V8 behind you sings out a song. It's pretty cool because it's so different than anything else that you drive from the modern era. You have as much fun driving this car up to 60 miles an hour as you would to a modern car up to 120. Even though you're on the inside of this car, you can still enjoy the exterior styling because you have the sloping hood, the big bulging fenders. It's a pretty cool experience. It's a good view. Is it fast? No. But that's not why you buy a car like this. We love these cars because of the engaging driving experience.
So many people hyper-focus on the speed of cars. But if that's all you really care about, you would go out and buy a Tesla Model 3. But speed alone gets old. When you're looking for an enthusiast car, you want a car that has design, engagement, and sound. And the 308 brings all these elements together and puts a smile on your face every time you drive it.
So yes, the Ferrari 308 is one of the last iconic 80s sports cars that is still affordable. Well, I can't afford it, but it's within the realm of possibility. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you'd like to hear me ramble on about other cars, click one of the videos shown on screen now. If you'd like to see more content from the channel, you can consider liking and subscribing, but that's up to you. I hope you all have a great week.